All right, so this is our podcast. We just like to have conversations with people such as yourself and just learn more about like what you're doing with your time and your businesses, and try to see if there's any kind of overlap between how we're spending our time. So first, want to talk about how we met?
Yeah, so I remember we met in the M3 link, and I believe that's a very good platform where we can connect with a lot of entrepreneurs. And it's like uh, the people where you have the same minded, so people think the same thing, and you will think, okay, so they help each other. That's the good part of them. I think like they help each other. So still today, I'm connected with a lot of people from M3, and I just talk with them, discuss with them. So yeah, that's a good place.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That was the first time I've ever been to one of those entrepreneurial events where you're kind of there to just be forming like a mastermind group, and I really did enjoy it. It's interesting. I've never even considered going to one before the whole pandemic began, and everything went on to Zoom. That saved a whole lot of time, and ultimately, I think it really enriched the whole experience. Have you ever been to one prior to the pandemic and the Zoom?
Oh, I think the mastermind they have not started because
Okay.
that's like face to face, right? And I think right now everything is on working on Zoom. So yeah, I don't think they have started the mastermind, but I'm not sure for that. Yeah, but that's
Gotcha.
an interesting one. I mean, that's more interesting.
Yeah, it seems like a good place. And before we get too deep into it, this is Josh.
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good.
Um, yeah, and together we've recently been spending our time developing a few different projects, one of which was Baros, which I believe I came into the whole meeting with last time. And just to give a brief synopsis on that, that's where we're developing virtual and augmented reality solutions for various problems, mainly related to healthcare at this time, trying to focus our efforts on the clinical studies and see where we can find our niche with all of that. But recently I've been thinking like, are you aware of like the whole metaverse development?
Actually, I saw your website like after your last, and that was very interesting. So I was thinking that's something different which you guys are working. I think you have like 6 members, right? So I was thinking, okay, let me ask more because I am also related with cryptos. I am also investing a lot of cryptos, and your concept was completely different. So it was related to astronomy, right? So I was thinking, okay, let me ask, what's that? What's the concept of NFT in that also?
Yeah, before I can let Josh kind of go into the whole company that we're creating, like the whole NFT collection. But first, are you aware of like astrology? Are you into any kind of spiritual beliefs?
I'm not, but yeah, I have been related to astrology from my childhood, so I know like a lot of things related to that.
Gosh, well, that's good to hear.
Well, with Astral Kingdom, our main objective with the NFTs is we're creating zodiac art. So for this month it's Capricorn, and then for next month it's Pisces, Aquarius. And every month it's going to be related exactly to the zodiac sign for that month. And further along the line, what we want to do in the metaverse is create a almost like a universe within it where it allows people to connect better with their own spirituality and grow like with self-worth and self-growth.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the whole chakra system as well?
No.
Okay, well, yeah, the chakra system is kind of what we're building towards. So like in the metaverse, let's say, we'll have like components to ourselves that we're trying to improve upon. And that's just an overlying structure. I don't need to get too deep into the specifics of it, but we're pretty much working to provide this kind of infrastructure that should hopefully come to flourish in the next few years. But right now, the only way to do so is to start with this NFT collection, and that's where we're just creating this 2D static artwork and working towards the 4D development of these characters that are able to experience or grow with experience over time. But again, that's very far from what you're working on, and that's ultimately why we wanted you to come onto the podcast today. Is because when I first met you and you introduced your whole business to me, I was blown away. I cannot believe a single man was undertaking such a crazy accomplishment. But you want to maybe go into just what you've been working on and maybe how it all began?
Yeah, sure. So do you want me to just speak, or I have my pitch deck also of my company? You want to say me to say that?
Yeah, I can let you share the screen. That'd be very helpful. All right, you should be able to now.
Okay, so this is So this is the dream and vision of my company. So we have a vision to make amphibious autonomous cars, and these cars will be used for both land and underwater travel and tourism purposes. So you can see the image. So this will first we are planning our first model will be a sports car, and so I have drawn the first model sports car, and this will be used for both land as well as underwater. So this image is mostly for the underwater tourism purposes. So yeah, this is my team, and yeah, we are expanding, so we have good members now. So I have mentioned our vision and mission. We are completely sustainable, and we are not creating any harm to the environment in terms of emitting carbon dioxide or disturbing the aquatic life inside the underwater. So yeah, our first plan is to take the culture of this autonomous driving to next level, mostly to the underwater travel and tourism purposes. So we are working with the latest technology of AI, quantum communication, graphene batteries, superconductors, all these technologies. So this is my vision for 2025. It's AI-based underwater cars. You can see some images here. Yeah, so this is our first research. Mostly we are working, I will just skip through our research. This is mostly the graphene technologies which we are working on. And I will show you, this is all technical, and I will show you how our second is the MHD concepts. So this, on the right side, you can see this is mostly a superconductor, and these superconductors helps the car to travel more than 400 miles per hour underwater. So this is where we are going to be different from the present market, because if you think traveling 400 miles underwater, so this will help the car to travel long distances in less times. So yeah, this is my plan to put in the bottom of the car. Next, yeah, from the day one, we are working on AI. Using AI, we are doing all the underwater mapping and developing models for the image segmentation recognition. For example, in our car can easily identify, okay, so this is a face, or this is a star, or this is a human, and then use that decision to travel underwater. So yeah, these are all the models on AI. And lastly, we are also researching on the graphene solar panels. So we are planning to use these solar panels on the roof of the car so that these cars can travel longer, because the present market problem is if you see other competitors' cars, so they travel very small distances and the owners have to return back or find a charging station. So we are planning this to make an alternative, you don't need to return to the charging stations, and you can use your car for a longer period of time. Okay, so this was mostly from my technology point of.
Yeah, I can't imagine running out of battery and you're stranded in the middle of the ocean.
This is a very crazy concept. I love it. I have so many questions. So many. First question. So when it comes to your market, right? Obviously this is going to be brand new type of technology to any industry. I think there's one of one cars that can go on land and water, and amphibious military vehicles that are almost in the shape of a boat, so they're still above the water, but they can go on both land and sea, or river or lake, something like that. When it comes to how are you going to make this affordable for the majority of people? Or is this going to be something that only a certain group of people is going to be able to afford? Because this is going to be brand new technology.
Yeah, so the place where we will be cutting the cost is the battery. The present electric cars, they spend somewhere around $12,000 for one car on the batteries.
Okay.
We will be spending somewhere close to $3,500 to $4,000, because the battery technology which we are bringing, from the day one we are researching on the graphene batteries. So we will be replacing complete lithium-ion batteries with the graphene batteries, and during that place, I believe we can save $8,000 to $9,000 on each car, and that will significantly reduce the cost. But as far as my projection, I don't think a car of this type will cost more than $50,000. So it will be somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000, like my present projection, because we are reducing the price on the batteries as well as on the other technologies also.
So when it comes so in the one design picture, you have solar panels on the roof, right? So when it right now, solar panels are super expensive. I mean, just to get one little small amount of panels on your roof is at least $30,000. What are you doing to subtract that cost, minimize that cost? Because I think the solar panels would be kind of a costly, especially if they break. What's your plan on maintenance for that type of thing?
Yes, so I think the major concept is when we manufacture at a large scale. For example, if we make 100 cars, if we make 100,000 cars, so when we are trying to make more cars, means price is decreasing slowly, because technology is common, right? We are having raw materials, we are having the same machines, we are increasing our production. So I believe that's the place where we will be cutting costs, because if you see Ford or Tesla, so when they are manufacturing more cars, the price of each car decreases, right? And if, for example, if we go for just 100 or 1000, then for sure that will be expensive. But if we go for 100,000 cars every year or more, that will be decreased. So in the beginning, we will be making a prototype, just 1 or 2 prototypes. And after that, we will be expanding. We will be manufacturing at a larger scale to save this cost.
Cool, that's awesome. I have 2 more questions. 2 more. So the other thing that I was thinking about, so if the car is able to move at 400 miles per hour underwater, what is the technology you're going to be using for stopping power? I mean, obviously you're in the water, so brakes would not relatively work, not on a regular car. What are you going to be using to almost reverse the turbine?
Yeah, so that's mostly we will be using the concept of superconductors. So this concept of superconductors is used in China, and I think they have used in 2017, and that was a successful. So we will be using that concept under the water, because 300-400 miles is very fast. So this car can be stopped if we use because superconductivity is what, the 2 metal plates, and you have electric and magnetic field, right? So under the water, the field's intensity is very high. So that's the reason these cars travel faster, and we will be controlling this magnetic field inside the water, underwater also. And that's the reason why these cars can travel easily, nicely and faster.
Gotcha. I have a lot of questions similar to Josh, but I'll start more general. I mean, firstly, how did you even come up with the idea and see this as something that you wanted to work towards?
Yeah, actually, I loved underwater world from my childhood, and I was also more fascinated towards the cars. And after moving to US, I was working on an idea. So I was thinking, okay, what if this? And I came to the concept of AI, machine learning, and that I was very much excited to learn more and more machine learning and how we can use AI in the real world. Then slowly, I started thinking about this, doing more research about the submarine technologies and other AI technologies, and how can we use AI under the water. And then before starting, my idea was complete, and then I filed a provisional patent of this idea. I thought, okay, now this is the time to start working with making a team.
Gotcha. And was that provisional patent, was that for the whole design of the car, or was that for the batteries or anything in particular?
Complete car.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. So you first got into the machine learning and the AI side of things. Then did you have to learn about the whole way cars work, or where'd you go from there?
I was mostly interested to learn how AI is implemented in the car, because working of cars, that's a part of the manufacturing or the mechanical engineering. But I focused mostly on how to use this AI for the car on land as well as underwater, because on land we have Lucid Motors, Tesla, but we don't have AI based underwater cars.
Gotcha. And like, where do you see the biggest uses of these underwater cars? Do you see them like being across the Atlantic or the Pacific, or more so from like Florida to one of the Latin American countries that are like not too far away?
Yeah, so it will be used for both. There can be many applications. Like first, the travel and tourism purposes, because for those people who are living close to the water bodies, so they will have the features of both land as well as underwater. Second, it will be used for the government also for better security of the underwater world. And we can use this for the transportation purposes also. So in the future, long run, when we will have like, I think when the technology is more expanded, then in the coming like 5-10 years from now, we can make better and better use of these cars.
Gotcha. And what kind of depth are you expecting to be traveling at? 'Cause I'm sure the pressure has to play some kind of factor into that.
So right now we are working up to 50 meters of height depth, and below 50 meters we have to do more research. But yeah, in the beginning we just kept 50 meters depth only.
Gotcha.
Let's start working there.
Great. At that depth, is the are the solar panels able to work? I'm sure not as well as above the water, but does that play a role into the development or like the charging?
So solar panels work better underwater because the concept is like when solar panels are exposed to the salt water, they produce more electricity. So, and when they are just absorbing sun rays, that's less. But underwater, it will be both. Like they are exposed to the salt water as well as for the sun's rays. So it's kind of better for the energy also.
Wow. Okay. And I see you mentioned the transition from the lithium ion batteries to the graphene. What was the decision making behind all that?
Yeah, so actually lithium catches fire. Lithium batteries catches fire with water, but graphene batteries does not catch fire. And the present market is moving from lithium, mostly from lithium to graphene, because graphene is like, it has 5 times more energy density than the lithium batteries. Means
Gotcha.
you are producing more power and taking less, more time to discharge as compared to lithium ion batteries. So
what would you say is like the takeaway though from a graphite battery? Like, because with lithium batteries, they're pretty fast charging. They're somewhat reliable. But what's the takeaway from this new battery source?
yeah, first, the important part I think is the sustainability. Graphene batteries are completely eco-friendly and they are sustainable. Second, they have more energy density than lithium, means the same power they can generate more for the same price. Like they generate, you can, for layman terms, we can think like 5 times more efficient than the lithium ion batteries. So we are getting efficiency, we are getting sustainability, and we are bringing more and more eco-friendly benefits. Like for example, lithium catches fire underwater, so we can't use that with water, it can explode, but graphene can't explode. So we are saving like fire hazards also.
Yeah, I've only ever heard of graphene's uses in like nanotechnology, so that's interesting to hear that it's used in batteries as well. For your whole team that you showed in the beginning, is that mainly like, are you guys doing the research, or are you guys just trying to take the research that you mentioned before was happening in China and elsewhere around the world? Are you taking that those results and just trying to commercialize all of it?
No, we are, for me, like we are starting from scratch. So we know what's the technology. We are building our own models, our own algorithms, our own design, everything. So, and then we will be integrating that at the end. So it's like 11 to 12 months. Yeah, 11 months we had. So that's my plan. First to build individually and then integrate everything at the end.
Gotcha.
So if you could collab with anyone in the tech, like the AI tech industry pertaining to cars, who would you want to collab with?
Yeah, so I think Tesla will be the first option because they are far ahead in AI and they have all the resources. So
how far away do you think you are from like getting investors, really starting to build them?
yeah, I think it will take 1 to 1.5 years more to reach to that place where we will have the complete idea and we can approach investors. Okay, so this is our prototype, and then we can easily show our demo.
And like, what is the biggest challenge facing you? Is it just the time and the energy, or is it anything in particular, any kind of like technical difficulties?
Yeah, so I think for this question, I will say it's a team. So before, when I was starting this company, I was thinking that it's all about money, but it's not about money. It's about the team. When in a team, if we can bring the members who have the same vision, and if all the members of the company have the same vision, then growth becomes very fast. So that's my reason. Like, I'm looking for members who really love this project and who will think, okay, so let me work with this company, let me contribute. And then second factor is the money. Like, we need money to hire more people and to buy and to bring this technology. So I think these two are the major challenges.
Gotcha. And with the team, do you have any kind of tactics for hiring the best people, the brightest minds, or is it more so just trying to attract anyone that's willing to commit to the vision?
Yeah, so first I look for interest, because while looking, what's my strategy is first when I see the resume and when I take the interview. So from that interview, I can understand that is this person really interested, or it's just making something to get a job. So that's the first place where I filter most of the people, and a lot of people are really interested, and then I see what research experience do they have, and even if they don't have, are they willing to learn something new or not? Because the thing is technology is very different. If someone is not comfortable, then they will not learn the technology. So I just see if someone is interested to learn this new technology or not, and then I keep them. Okay, so if someone is interested, okay, so let's see what they can bring.
Got it. And when it comes to actually testing everything, I know you haven't really quite developed the whole car quite yet, but for the AI models, let's say, how do you go about actually maybe getting the data sets to begin running your algorithms and actually getting this maybe tested underwater?
Yeah, so right now we are doing only software simulations. So we are using computer vision and we are using neural networks. So whatever models we have developed, we have because all the images are available in the Google, and we can get in Kaggle also, the place where all the data sets are there. So we download images, we train, and we build the model. And mostly we are right now focusing on the software simulations part only. And when the software simulations will be complete, then we can approach to the hardware part. Okay, so this is our accuracy. So right now, I think we are close to around 90% accurate, our models. But I believe, okay, so when we reach 96, 97%, and we have a lot of images, and then we can start the actual prototyping. Okay, so let's use this model.
Got it. And in due time, will you have to create some kind of traffic patterns in the ocean, or how are you going to actually control where everyone's driving?
So this is all using the concept of AI and machine learning. So what we are doing, we are making a map of underwater world. For example, the models which we are developing, so these models and these images will be stored in the brain of the car. And whenever the car will be underwater, it can easily identify, and using other systems, we will be using computer vision also. So using these technologies, we will first create a map. For example, if you want to travel from Boston to New York, what will be the map underwater? So we are also working on that. We are creating an underwater map that can be easily helpful to the cars, not only to our cars, but also to other other products which are underwater, because there are many products, government products, which governments are using, submarines are using to detect underwater. So we are planning, okay, so let's first build models, make an underwater map, and then use that map for the travel and tourism purposes.
Yeah, so are you thinking that the technology that you're building, is it only going to be able to be used in a car, or is it also would you look to implement this into submarines or boats or anything like that?
Yeah, so we can use this in submarines and all the underwater vehicles. But the thing is, everything should be updated as per the AI technology. We cannot use the old systems We need to have, for example, in submarines also, we need to have good systems and the updated AI systems.
Gotcha. So would these eventually be able to be like unmanned cars traveling underwater as well? Like how much control would the actual driver have?
So right now, I think the present AI industry is like they are having level 3. Level 3 means it's for both. It's fully autonomous as well as human can have control. But when the level 3 is complete, then comes level 4. Level 4 means there will be less human use, but after level 3 we have complete research. Okay, so there is no accidents, and okay, so everything is going fine. Then level 5 is fully autonomous, no human control. So if you have seen in all the movies, so you have seen level 5, but presently in the market we have level 3 autonomous cars.
Gotcha.
So when since this is gonna start out as a level 3 autonomous car, are you going to adapt your AI based off of previously already created cars? Like, so that there's like the Cadillac AI, which is a level 3 autonomous. Like, if you pay for the premium, you can have it fully self-driving, and same with Tesla. I don't know if Polestar or any of the other electric vehicles do it, but those two are the two off the top of my head. Are you going to be adapting from their programs, or are you just going to create one from scratch?
Yeah, we will be creating from scratch. Like, there are software companies like NVIDIA, so we will be using their software and we will have our own models, because we have data. Data is already available. The thing is, we need to build models, train models, and work accordingly. And that's also an asset of the company. If a company have a large amount of data and a good model, so that's also, we can say, okay, so that company is reliable because they have efficient models. So that's also a part of the companies.
Yeah, so it seems like data and these like underlying patents for like the battery, let's say, those seem to be the pretty key factors in the development of everything. So right now, like on the road, there's drivers like us, there's these commercial like semi trucks that are driving goods around, and I'm sure the same would be underwater. So are you looking to mainly provide the data and the infrastructure for these like automobiles for other companies to build upon, or are you looking to create a car and maybe expand into the semi trucks, or are you trying to expand beyond that?
Yeah, I think technology is common, so we should not hide any technology if we have. And if we want to share, we can share. Like, it should be a win-win for all the companies. If some company is giving their data, then they should also get some profit, and the other side also should receive. So it's like technology will be expanding from all the sectors.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I like that the sports car model that you chose. Was there any particular reason besides just looking cool? Like, is it more efficient underwater, or?
So I always want to buy first sports car. So I thought let's start with the sports car.
Oh, that's cool. I have one last question. So since it's going to be driving underwater, there's obviously going to be areas that are restricted. So like, for instance, if there's like a secret like submarine or a nuclear submarine that's in a certain area, how are you going to be able to play off of that? So would you have to get like contracts from the government in order to show where on the maps like someone can't go? Because in that case, like, someone could easily just like drive the car and be exploring underwater, and then just boom, nuclear submarine right there, and then they're kind of screwed. So what's your play on that?
Yeah, so I think that this is a very important question, because still we have not complete rules for the underwater driving. And I believe when this technology will come, so there will be many rules, and we will be following all the rules. Like, okay, so what places can people travel, what they cannot travel, which areas are like secret, they cannot go. So yeah, this all will be in the coming time. We will keep all the guidelines, but now we are just focusing on developing the technologies, and when we will be close to that, then we will be adding all the rules and regulations before implementing this.
Gotcha. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term, the thalassophobia. It's like a fear of the underwater, like the depths unseen. Do you have a plan on like kind of getting people interested in kind of conquering this fear and actually driving underwater, being in a a car that's driving underwater?
Yes, I want to say this answer. Like first, like I believe many years before, like if you take 203 years, 200, 300 years, because there were no aeroplanes, like, right? People used to fear, okay, what will happen if I travel on the aeroplane, if aeroplane falls, if I die? And you see now, everyone prefers to save the time and they feel more comfortable, right, to travel long distances. So same is with this, because whenever technology comes, people fear. Okay, so what happens is that they have thousands of questions, but when people start accepting the technology, that's the place where things change. For example, we have lift. If you remember, in the beginning we used to have lift man in the lift and people used to get scared, but now, like, you see how things are changing. So I believe it takes time, 5 years, 10 years, but when people start accepting, then things completely change.
Yeah, I completely agree. And is there any plans for how to actually get the cars transitioning from the ground to the water? Is there going to be like ramps or any, like I know boats right now they have that like a specific machine that kind of lifts them and drops them into the water, but do you have any plans for that?
Yeah, so actually that comes on the designing part. We have already designed that, and we have plates for that, and we have already made designs. Okay, so for example, when the car is on land and when it goes underwater, how the plates will work to go from land to underwater and back from water to land. So yeah, we that's all a part of design. And yeah, we have considered that in the beginning. Okay, so how these cars will go up or come from the water.
Gotcha. And I feel like a major issue would be the weight of the car. Like, of course, if it turns off underwater, you don't want it to sink because who knows where it's going to stop. So do you have, is that like a limiting factor for you of like how much it has to weigh that in order for it to sink or to float?
Yeah, so that's also the model, like mathematical model. It's all based on the Newton's law, and so we are using all the laws of physics, which will help the car to maintain at a constant depth underwater. So it's not like the car will sink or it will float, because the thing is when in terms of physics, like when a car is inside the water underwater, and when all the forces are equal from all the sides, then it will be at that position only. So we will be just creating pressure to move the car in the forward direction, so not it will go down or up. So that's, so we have kept all that in our mind. So how we will be balancing the forces, everything.
Gotcha.
It's a very big project, and I was working on this idea from last, I think, 3 years, 2.5 3 years. So this all like idea how car will sink, and that was the initial step to think, okay, so how should it turn right, how should it turn left, how should it go 1 more meter, 2 more meter depth or come up. So it was all like physics thing. So in the beginning, yeah, we worked on it.
Yeah, and like turning the focus onto you as like the founder, how's it been on committing to a goal that has such a long kind of trajectory or like an end goal? Like, is it like the mental health of like staying true to your goals despite all the challenges that arise?
Yeah, so I believe the first thing, entrepreneurship is hard, but I remember, like, if you remember the Steve Jobs, what he said, like, at that, it's like you should love what you do. So I believe that if we love something to do, and in spite of having thousands of challenges, we will do that work. But if we don't love something, then we will just quit first moment only. Okay, so leave this work. So yeah, that's the most important. I love what I do, so I always think about these cars. That's the reason. Just I keep working and so.
Yeah, that makes sense. And is there any defining factors that you've learned the most from now compared to when you began?
Yeah, I think it's more important about networking, meeting the right people, making a good team, and accepting all the ideas, all the positive as well as negative comments. Because I came across a lot of negative people and I learned a lot from them, because that mistakes I'm not repeating now, which I used to repeat like in the first 1 or 2 months. And I heard, okay, so even if they don't like the idea, but they told me something that is still I implement, and I save a lot of time and money using that.
Gotcha. Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, do you have any closing thoughts?
Um, I don't know. This is a lot to take in. I want to do more research.
Yeah.
And I actually I want to really dive into this. This is probably the coolest project that I've heard of in a while. I want to see this like come to fruition, and I want to be in an autonomous amphibious vehicle someday. Someday I want one. That sounds like that's almost like a dream, because in that instance, if since this is possible, you're now cutting back on emissions of planes, emissions of boats. You're cutting back on waste, and you're allowing people of all backgrounds to get anywhere they really want to go. So that's always been a problem, because like for only usually the top 1%, yeah, they can have their own boats, they can have their own planes, they can fly anywhere they want, but everyone else, they have to pay for these expensive flights to go across the pond or go across the Pacific. So you see, like in this instance, you'll have everyone able to just be like, okay, today I want to go to Greece, and they start on the East Coast and drive to Greece. Yeah, that'd be insane. And then you would have not only, you wouldn't have just the car, but then you have the design for the mapping of the ocean. So you would have your own, basically your own, like I like Apple Maps, but specifically for the ocean. Oh, that's so sick.
Yeah, and it's like you don't have to take permission of, okay, so this flight is not working. Just you have your own car, have a family trip, and so that's the end. The important thing is like when slowly people will understand how things, and the beautiful part is like 70% of the earth is water.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's a lot, and lot of things are yet to be explored. Like people are working on space because space is still unexplored. So same for the water, like more than 70% is water, and there are a lot of things yet left that humans have not seen.
So
No, I was gonna just hearing Josh's monologue, that made me think about how like this morning I was driving to work and it was freezing outside, and inside of my car I was just dying for it to warm up, and I was just picturing like driving through like the Arctic Ocean. Like how would you maintain some kind of warmth inside of the car?
Yeah. So right now we are working on few materials only, like these materials which will be used on the top of the car. So they will be easily able to sustain all the pressure, temperature, and everything. But yeah, we need to do more research of what options are available for us. But right now we are very limited to that. So yeah, we will be expanding more on this. Okay, so what places? Because for different places there are different temperature and different temperature of the water. So yeah, someone wants to go to the cold places, someone wants to go to the warm places. Yeah, that's a part of the design. But yeah, we will consider that too.
Yeah.
I have like one. So have you heard of like the hollow earth concept? That like under the ocean there is a hollow earth, because the design, or like the concept of, you know, the earth's design is that, like, you know, we have our top land, and we have like the crust, mantle, all that kind of stuff. And but it's a theory. We've never actually like fully tested that is positive. What if that would allow people to like actually find the hollow earth? Like you're then able to drive and you're in another world. Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
It's all like you are bringing the concept of Hollywood movies. So it always inspires me, because we don't know what's there. I have seen a lot of movies and a lot of YouTube videos, and that's always I get excited. Okay, so what's inside there? What's there? So I always just keep thinking, but yeah, that's still unexplored. But we have seen the only, I believe that these things can't be done manually until we use the concept of AI, because AI is the only thing that brings that removes all the barrier. For example, even if we do not add any human, means we are just spending money, right? We are not taking risk of any human life. But even if when the car is fully autonomous and there is no human, we can send this car to more and more underwater. Because I think I forgot what's the exact depth of the underwater, but it's like it's very huge. So we can use completely autonomous cars, and we can see, okay, so what's the hidden gem inside the water. So we can explore more everything, and then
Yeah. Yeah, my first thought was I wanted to go drive down to the Antarctica because I know that's like off limits for the general public. So there's a lot to explore just all around the world, and it seems like a lot of the ocean floor is so undiscovered, just equally as much as like the outer space. So yeah, man, it's easy to sell us on the vision. I definitely think you've done that very successfully today. Do you have any kind of closing thoughts on anything you'd like any kind of viewer to take away with?
Yeah, I think, mostly I want to conclude saying that AI is the future, so we cannot stop the future. And the way AI is developing, that's very fast. And that's beyond the expectation, because no one ever believed this fast AI will be expanding, the autonomous cars will come. And if you see the recent developments in AI in other companies, like they are also using for the neuroscience. Besides this autonomous cars, there are many applications of AI. So yeah, I think the AI is the future, and this is just one application. There are thousands of more applications, like more brilliant people will bring in the coming time. But yeah, this excites me to work in AI, and I'm also excited by your project, and I will be looking forward. Like it's really very cool, to be honest.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Well,
Thank you.
yes, your vision is inspiring, and we'll definitely take that with us throughout our project's growth as well. And we'll definitely try to keep in touch and maybe plan for another meeting in another few weeks or months and see how things have progressed for you.
Yeah, sounds good, because we all like tech-based, so let's work together and let's work for a common goal.
I completely agree.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Gurpreet, I appreciate it again, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Yes, thank you.
I'm about to